Well, back to Fog Racing, and we're here to review the Russian Grand Prix that was absolute shite, but it was topped off by the biggest shite bag known to man in the form of the biggest fucking jobber to ever grace Finland. I mean, you look at Kimi. I mean, they may be very similar. They're like quiet in a way, but at least Kimi has a fucking set of balls, unlike this shite bag who just, I mean, his championship challenge is done, and yet at the end of the race, Hamilton's won, by the way. Who gives a fuck? Get in there, Lewis, right? But I mean, as long as big James Foyce doesn't come over the radio, it's all happy days for Valtteri, even though he would still obey him. You know what I mean? But regardless, he drives in formation with the guy, even though his championship title's done. I mean, it's been done since he's been at Mercedes because he's pish. If he was in an '04 Ferrari and Hamilton was in a fucking shopping cart, Hamilton would still beat him because he's pish and would still ask him to move out of the way, probably. I mean, could you imagine if Rosberg, 2015 USA Grand Prix, I remember that, Rosberg lost the title. Remember in the cool down room, Hamilton gave him the cap and Rosberg grabbed the second cap and won it at him.
Winged him.
I mean, fucking Hamilton Bottas grabs the first cap and gets down on one knee to propose to Hamilton and fucking slightly just caresses Hamilton's fucking black head and sets the hat down on him because he's that much of a shite bag. I fucking despise anyone on the grid would do a better job. I'm not denying the guy's quick, but he's just captain shite bag, and that is all that really needs done. You can say whatever you want. I've had my piece.
I think the title was over when Valtteri Bottas signed on the dotted line. Basically, that contract that he beat Ocon to get his signature onto it wasn't a who's going to be a Mercedes driver, it was who's going to be Hamilton's bitch for 2020. And I think we can confirm that Bottas is going to be the man that will be the right hand. I wouldn't even say right hand man, like, it's not as if he's his right hand man, he's his fucking assistant. I don't know, man, just absolute
He's got his own
garbage.
reception desk at the back of Hamilton's rear fucking wing. I mean, it's just pathetic.
I mean, I wouldn't even be surprised if this guy doesn't get to sit in the fucking meetings and shit. Like, Bottas probably just has to sit outside, man, while Lewis goes in to speak,
Well, the big boys
to
go in and
Toto and
discuss.
James, and then they come out and, like, someone says, right, Phil and fucking Valtteri, tell him how he's going to be a rear gunner at the next Grand Prix. I think that's how it goes down. Like, I honestly don't think that. I mean, we all know he's not. We all know they're not like treated equally. Like, but I just don't understand it, man. This guy is pish. I mean, he managed to hold off Leclerc, so I mean, I'll give him credit where it's due. But for some reason, overtaking this Grand Prix seemed a lot harder than it should have been. So, you know, it's not as if he had to. I mean, we say he held off Leclerc. I mean, he never really had to go defensive once in the last, 20 laps.
He's fucking doing normal laps.
I mean,
Shit.
Leclerc, a couple of times Leclerc got close enough to, like, fake a move, but, I mean, it was never in a position where he actually needed to, like, take up a defensive
turn one
line
in
to
Russia.
defend.
It's turn two. It is like like the actual apex. If it's that tight, you can't even launch a move. If he launches a move, Bottas will just go wide and rejoin. I mean, it's retarded. You have to be side by side in the turn one. They actually on the turn two to actually get a job done. Like,
should Leclerc have just tried to stay in behind Bottas and get him into turn 4, but that didn't appear to work. I don't know if he tried that or not, but
it doesn't matter, man. You can't overtake.
But I mean,
when you
look at the rest of the grid, like, there wasn't that much overtaking.
No.
Either when you look at the, I mean, the guy that did the most overtaking was Albon, but let's be honest, this is a guy that's in a top 3 car against some cars that are absolute pish. So, you know, I guess it's unfair.
They always mark it, like when someone comes from like 20th and finishes like last of the top like 6. Oh.
Yeah, back in the day, that was impressive. That was impressive back in the day. See, now the top 3 are so superior to the rest that it's. I mean, I think if you're starting, unless it's Monaco, see if you're starting at the back and you're one of the top 6 teams, you're one of the top 3 cars, you should be finishing 6th.
That's minimum.
That's just the way it is now. It's unfortunate, like, but you know, that's what it is. I mean, I think. I mean, I was going to say I think we should get rid of DRS, but then again, it just goes to show you in races like this. I mean, if you didn't have it, like, would you get any overtakes? Well, I mean, fucking top cars would still overtake the shit cars, but don't know.
Nowhere
I
near
don't
as
like
easy.
any of the new tracks. Don't like any of the new tracks. I think the only time you get good races is when they're at the old tracks where there's actually fucking there's no runoff areas. Like you make a mistake here and so what? Like you know what I mean? You just get to rejoin. It's so tarmac anyway. You know, give me the old races where if you go off, man, you're screwed. But pest race, very controversial at the start. Vettel gets past Leclerc. Apparently, Ferrari had a game plan from the beginning where Leclerc was going to give Vettel his toe and not give it to Hamilton. It's pretty hard though to do that. I mean, if Hamilton doesn't get beat by Vettel off the line and Hamilton tucks him behind Leclerc, like what can Leclerc really do? You know, he can fucking
I think
move, but I mean Hamilton can
uh,
follow him. So
exactly
now
because
I don't know. Did Vettel really gain much of the toe? I wouldn't say he gained much of the toe. Perhaps Leclerc didn't go defensive because he knew they had this plan.
yeah, like he didn't go to the. Is he? If Leclerc goes to the inside in turn one, he has him. But to me, why wouldn't he have done it? Because I think it would have just been defend from Hamilton. So why wouldn't he? Well, he should have took the inside. But they
Then
had the
Vettel
strategy
obviously.
to let him back through, and he didn't. Well, until the pit stops, and it
Mm,
was fucking pish. Too late by then.
I certainly wouldn't. I wouldn't trust Mister Multi 21 to let me through. Like, but whatever.
I can't
To
believe he
be
did
fair
it.
to Vettel, I mean, I
Mm.
hate Vettel, right? But what do you mean you can't believe he did it?
I can't believe you actually like let them do the undercut on him.
What can he do, really? Do you know what I mean? It's like,
He could come into the pits, already gonna fucking let his car sit there. Look.
no, that's true. Like, but yeah, I mean, as much as I dislike Vettel, he seemed like he had the pace today. Or again, it could have been Leclerc just not getting involved in the battle because he was told he would be let through. You know what I mean? So it's hard to say. Like you know, what I mean, Leclerc could have just been sitting back out the dirty air, but I mean, really, 4 seconds behind somebody that if they had intentions of doing that through the pit stops, I don't think Ferrari would have wanted Leclerc to be, 4 seconds behind them.
It's maybe
That's
because
more than just one lap.
maybe it's because they want that Vettel to secure a gap to Hamilton. So when Leclerc did do the undercut, Hamilton didn't do it as well. Maybe that's why. I don't know though.
Regardless, Leclerc did get in front of Vettel due to the undercut, and then before you know it, Vettel I think retired. I think the Vettel's outlap he retired. He's either the outlap or the lap before, next. So disappointing. That led to a virtual safety car, and then Mercedes, the lucky bastards that they are, flipped into a 1-2. Well, technically it was a 1-3, but then Ferrari thought, well, you know what, to have any chance of coming back, we'll need to put Leclerc on the medium tire, the soft tires, and they did that, and there was no way through. And I don't know, man, did the soft tires go off at the end? I mean, you could argue now, with hindsight, Leclerc would have had a better chance to win the race if he'd stayed in second with the medium tires. But is what it is. So, that's pretty much all that happened. Grosjean, decent qualifying position from him, but he didn't even last a couple of turns. So, usual shite for Grosjean. How he's been kept in this seat, I'm not too sure, but he is.
No.
And then who else do we have? We had Magnussen. It looked like he was going to secure some points for Haas, and then he got a penalty for. I thought that penalty was harsh. He ran wide. He lost a lot of time. He lost the possession. They still gave him a 5-second penalty. I mean, I'm all for people. I'm all for being strict and shit and giving penalties where they're
Fucking
due. But
Scooby.
I mean, I don't think this was a penalty. I mean, he didn't endanger anybody. He lost the possession and he lost about 2 seconds. So.
I mean, like,
How they gave him a penalty
how
for
can
that
you
is
get a penalty for
extremely
that,
harsh.
right? But you look at what Max did to Leclerc at Austria, forced him off nothing. You look at what Leclerc did to Hamilton at Monza, which is better than what Max did to him. But you know what I mean? Like, it's still Like they're
But a
more
driver
apparently
running,
work.
I mean,
You know, like,
a
you're
driver
on
running
why.
wide and taking out nobody and not affecting anyone else's race and losing time himself and rejoined safely as well. He didn't. It's not like he rejoined and fucking cut anyone off.
Oh, he didn't go
He got a
around the
5 second
bollard.
penalty.
See in the F2
So I
race, they both
mean,
went around the bollard and took each other out, and they're both away to hospital. So I mean, that's what happens when you go around the bollard. Like,
it's a fucking garbage. Williams were they actually doing all right through Russell, and then Russell had to retire, and it seems like when it's honest to God, what I read from it was that Russell's Williams thought, well, that's it. Russell's just retired.
fuck
Nick
you,
Kvyat's got
Kubica.
no chance of doing anything. Just end the race, and because as soon as Russell retired, they just told Kvyat to come in.
Maybe I had the
So
same
it's
problem then,
obviously.
but I mean, he is shit. Like, so it's surprising.
Toro Rosso's didn't really have a good race. Gasly, who I've been pretty impressed with since he went back to Toro Rosso, he went backwards through the race. Renault, not good. Ricardo, issues. Hulkenberg was unlucky. Probably should have got a lot more points than he did after a good qualifying. McLaren did well. Carlos Sainz, I think you could argue Carlos Sainz could maybe be driver of the season. Guys
Yeah.
consistently, you know, best of
And
the
at
rest.
times he
Like,
doesn't get best of the rest or points is when he gets took out.
and you think about it, I mean, the guy could have had a lot more points than he's got already. You know, he has been on. I mean, not Norris as well. I mean, both McLaren drivers have been pretty impressive. I think this puts any chance that Renault had of catching McLaren for fourth to bed. I think the gap's about what it was 30 odd points going into this race, or
Yeah.
was it cut down after Monza?
No, I think it was still. I think it was like. I think it was. What was it? I think it's about 20. It was about 20 after
Ah, well,
Singapore.
anyway, McLaren must have increased it by about fucking over 10 easily today, so. I think both McLarens finished in front of Hulkenberg. Well, Sainz finished, what, 6th? Then Norris. So, but yeah, I mean, I can't see it. You know, 30 points is a lot, especially when you're competing for 7th place without retirement, so. Can't really see Renault making that up. Like I said, no score for Haas. Perez did, Perez did the usual job. Guy's a good points finisher, but really, where's this racing point going to go? You know, they've got one guy that's like decent, and then they've got one guy that's dog shit.
See,
So
that's what I was thinking.
I
Like,
just don't
what is
really.
the point of someone like Perez? Like, why keep on signing on the racing point? Like, I mean, they're never going to be a good team. They're always just going to be midfield. I mean, at least McLaren, Renault. You know, what I mean, even Williams. At least you could say like they get backing, or I mean, they've actually got heritage. I mean, this racing point team, this fucking flip flop names out of a hat.
Yeah, no, I don't really get it. I mean, Perez. I guess it's some people. Some people are different. Some people would, it's everything to have an F1 seat, and then other people, unless they think they can, go somewhere in the future, they'd rather not be in F1. So
Yeah, like
Hulkenberg
Hulkenberg,
seems to be like that.
he thinks,
I
well,
mean,
I'm
I
at
think he's
Renault, a team that could have went somewhere. I'm not going the Alpha because they're pish. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, I mean, Hulkenberg seems to. It doesn't seem like he's sweating his position. Like, you know what I mean? I think he's. I think Red Bull should give Hulkenberg a chance. I do.
why not? Like,
If I was red, and then I mean, who did they get rid out of the three? Gasly, Kvyat, or Albon? Personally, I'd get rid of
fucking
Kvyat.
why? Because he's the
Might
worst,
seem
or
harsh,
because
I just think because he's older than the rest, and I just don't think. I think Albon, I think's a bit. I don't think we've seen enough of Albon and Gasly. I mean, he was really good last year, albeit it was shocking, like the first half of the season. But well, it's early days. Yeah, like we'll see what happens by the end of the season.
see, no. What the thing is, right? We've had how many races? 15. We've had 15 races, and apart from Silverstone, where like Gasly, I mean, he wasn't in the fight, but like Vettel, Leclerc, and Max, it was kind of just he was there. You know what I mean? But that's the only race out of 15 where the second Red Bull driver has been involved in any kind of battle with the top six. And I think that just
Yeah.
shows that they're pish. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, I mean, he actually had more interaction in a Toro Rosso at Singapore with the top six than he did with Red Bull. So I think the Red Bull's that set up towards Max, but even that's no excuse. Like, you shouldn't be that far off him.
Yeah, but has Albon been any closer? I mean, Albon's had some impressive overtakes and shit. Cause most of his races he started for the back.
No, he hasn't been closer, but he's definitely got a better racecraft, I think.
I don't think he's got the pace of Gasly. I don't. I think the same car, Gasly's. I think Gasly's faster than Albon. But yeah, I mean, Albon seems to have a better racecraft, like, cause he's done a lot more overtaking. I mean, I remember watching some races where Gasly was starting at the back and he was struggling to get past people. So,
because he's put.
I mean, but the bottom line is, I don't think either of those three are good enough to be a Red Bull driver. I mean, I'm not saying the second Red Bull driver has to be able to beat Max. I don't think so, because Max is, like one of these special talents. I don't think there's many people out there that would beat him. But I mean, whoever they've got to be more competitive than Albon and Gasly have been. I mean, you look at practice and qualifying. Like, how fucking far was Albon away from him? I mean, shockingly, like, he was nowhere in the practice sessions. Like, I mean, Gasly, I think, beat him in most of the practice sessions in Toro Rosso. So
that's the thing.
I mean, that's how I'd base it.
When Albon was in the Toro Rosso when still Kvyat, I mean, they were beating Gasly in most of them as well, practice sessions and shit. So there's obviously something wrong. What do you do, man?
Do you give Albon like one more race and then stick Kvyat in the Red Bull for the last fucking 4 races and then and then like judge it on who's had the better head-to-head with Verstappen?
I know. Anyway, though, I mean, there's not really much more to say, is there? So Suka up next.
I would give Hulkenberg that Red Bull drive unless Alonso wants it. Well, I think he would take it, like, but
I would put Bottas out of Mercedes, stick Ocon in the Mercedes, and just let Hulkenberg have his drive back.
Where would Bottas go? Back to Williams?
Fucking back to Finland. I mean, like, you see, I can fit right.
Retirement at some igloo.
Bottas being Mercedes bitch has cost Hulkenberg a drive. You know what I mean? He's kept Ocon off the grid for a year because he's captain, yes.
So hold on, let's explain that whole deal. How has that happened? So basically, Total Wolff has kind of promised Ocon a drive for 2020, but then decided that he didn't want to give him a Mercedes drive. So he's had to find him a drive elsewhere. Am I right so far?
Yeah.
So he's went to Renault, and I don't see what kind of ties there. It's not like Renault are using a Mercedes engine.
He's French.
So you think that's what swung it?
It's probably because Mercedes are paying Ocon, and they don't have to pay Hulkenberg in, so it's way less money for Renault probably.
So Mercedes are paying the Renault driver's salary?
I'm assuming. Maybe not all, but I mean, it'll be a decent portion. I think that's how it works. No, but no thing I don't get right.
Did Ocon beat Perez?
Yeah, well, maybe one. I think definitely one of the seasons.
But Hulkenberg beat Press. I think he beat him more convincingly than Ocon did.
I know, but right, fuck that, right? I mean, the thing you gotta look at it is, why are Mercedes so convinced they need a wingman? Hamilton's the man. He doesn't need a wingman. You know what I mean? Are you trying to tell me if Bottas was third here, say Leclerc was... I mean, if Leclerc couldn't get past Bottas, there was no chance in hell he was getting past Leclerc. You know what I mean? Like, Mercedes have been lucky that Ferrari have bottled it the last couple of seasons, because see if they hadn't, or if they had Leclerc instead of Kimi, or instead of Vettel even, or anyone, I mean Alonso back, they would not have the constructors, because Bottas is pish. They've been fucking gifted into having the constructors the past 3 years, like... You know what I mean? Valtteri, he does my head in. Anyway.
So, do you not think Toto Wolff's aware of that? Do you not think he's going into next season thinking, hold on here, if Ferrari deliver a car, we're in trouble in the constructors?
Aye, but he probably thinks, I know, but oh yeah, he must. What the fuck? I don't know why, but I don't know.
Anyway, guys, that's it, man. Prediction-wise, I don't think many of us got this right. I don't think I predicted Hamilton. I mean, I predicted Bottas second in qualifying, so I kind of got the race close. I can't remember what my race predictions were, but I don't know. I mean, Bottas seems to be okay in Russia. Like, I'll give him credit where he. But then again, he was fucking nowhere, wasn't he? Not until the virtual safety car saved him. Like, so.
He was fucking about. He was about 20 seconds off the lead. I mean, he was stuck behind Sainz. You know what I mean?
People give him Vettel driver of the day. Well, I think he got it actually. Thoughts on that?
Who else could have got it? Like VSC. I mean, that's probably it. Sainz.
So I had to give it to Sainz. No, I had to give it to Sainz. Sainz would have been a decent option.
That's
no one
2 wins this season. Gift it for a VSC.
Nobody for the top teams really impressed me. I mean, Vettel was doing alright. I mean, yeah, he was doing alright. Hamilton, you know, he did it. I mean, Hamilton did his job. Like, didn't make any mistakes. But again, VSC saved him. Bottas, Pish, Leclerc, you know, didn't really do anything wrong, but didn't really have the pace, did he? Verstappen just didn't really do anything this race. Albon made his way from last up to, you know, 5th, but again, that's not a major accomplishment when you're in the top 3 cars, so I don't know.
That's your
Maybe
whack.
gets driver of the day. I don't know, man. Nobody, fucking driver of the day. Bernd, what's the safety car driver's name? Bernd Vanguard or some pish like that. We'll give it to him.
Some pish.
That's it, guys. Now we move on to the next race, Japan. Hopefully it's more exciting. Do you get overtakes in Japan? Well, there's that long straight at the back, like, so you should be getting some overtakes down there. See what happens. Like, Japan could be an interesting race. I think tyre wear's normally pretty bad in Japan, isn't it? So,
No.
I don't know, just a bit of
The
excitement.
race was looking pretty interesting with Mercedes having the go low, and they would have been a much better, fresher tyre at the end. You know what I mean? But instead, we got what no one wanted.
Yeah, that virtual safety car ruined everything. Because,
sitting here
albeit
talking.
overtaking was hard, but think about it. Like, the Mercedes would have been on the faster tyre and the fresher tyre, so I'm pretty sure they would have had a lot more overtaking opportunities. Even with Vettel out, it was still been a good race, but obviously it would have been much better with the Ferraris first and second, with Hamilton coming back at them. And, you know, it looked like there was a possibility of Mercedes leaving Bottas out to try and interfere with the Ferraris. So, I mean, it was looking like it was going to get interesting, and then, especially since Vettel appeared to be the faster driver, would Vettel, and the fact that he'd had a couple of laps, you know, sort of fresher tyres, would Vettel have caught back up to Leclerc, you know what I mean? If that was the case, what would have happened? Would they have been allowed to overtake? Would Ferrari have said, look, Leclerc, we don't want to risk crashing out here, and Vettel's faster than you, let him I mean, we don't know what would have happened, but unfortunately we never got to find out, so that's pretty much it.
That's it for your review. Till then, till Suzuka. Peace.
Peace.